Well, good morning once again. Good morning. I'm going to try to keep more of you than there was about 15 minutes ago. So if you haven't noticed, last week we changed the order of service up a little bit, and it kind of brought a new energy into the room and a new vibrancy into the room. And so we thought for this month, you know what? Let's experiment. Let's try it. So it's now 1:45, and here I am already on the platform. Wow! Not that it's about me, but if you want to hear the message, you better get here. So, for your friends who aren't here yet this morning, let us know. Okay, sorry. This is the only space allotted. Give it to me. So this month here at Centers for Spiritual Living, let's try it again. This month here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we are working with the idea of where humanity and divinity meet. And last week we talked about humanity and divinity meeting not only within Christ Jesus or Jesus the Christ. Remember, it's a title, not a last name. That where humanity and divinity meet, that he was the great example, not the great exception. And so we were talking about each one of us is the divine, and that's really what we teach here, is that we are the divine made manifest, that we are the Son of God, if you will, each one of us, right? It is the begotten Son of the only Father, not the only begotten Son of the Father. For the true interpretation of, or true translation of the Aramaic, the original Aramaic. So, what we're working with here this month is we're working with the idea of the divine in the human and the human in the divine. That truly we are inseparable. That truly there is only one here, there is only one present here. And that is the divine made manifest as each one of us. And what I mentioned last week as well is that for the entire month we will also be looking at the different faith traditions that Ernest Holmes studied to synthesize this thing that we call science of mind or religious science. That we'll be looking at the concepts that we have, the ideas and philosophy, what it is that we believe here, what it is that we teach here, and touching back to the roots of where these ideas originally come from and where they originated from. So last week we talked a little bit about Earth traditions, we talked a little bit about Judaic traditions, we talked a little bit about Christian traditions. This week we're going to, the topic and the theme for the week is as above, so below. And so with this topic, with this idea, we're going to be looking at some of the Hindu traditions. We're going to be looking at the Hermetic traditions, as well as Christian traditions and earth-based traditions as well. So that's where these things come from. Again, Ernest Holmes studied all of the world's religions at depth. He also studied philosophy in depth as well. And then he synthesized all these ideas to create that which we call science of mind. So, what do we teach here in science of mind? God is all there is, right? God is all there is. That's it, right? That's the entire nutshell. Okay, we're done. Let's go to done. Right? God is all there is. So what we teach is that God is all there is, that there is a oneness, that there is a unity, that there is truly only one. You've heard Constance refer to it in her invocation. You've heard me refer to it on numerous occasions as well. You've heard other New Thought ministers refer to it. God is all there is. There is only one. There is no other. The song that we sing, the unity song that Al wrote, there is no separation, right? There's only one. So, what Ernest Holmes in 1927, he wrote a document. At that time it was called What I Believe, and we've since adapted it to change it, the language into What We Believe, and it's also known as our Declaration of Principles here at Centers for Spiritual Living. So, I want to share with you just 3 of those that he wrote of the 11 that are there. I just want to share 3 of them with you this morning. So the first one We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Got that? So in a nutshell, God is all there is, and this one manifests itself as all of creation, in and through and as all of creation. So that the universe itself is the body of God. But the universe does not absorb God, meaning that God does not get lost in its creation, that God is limited by its creation. It's not what it means, right? So God is not absorbed by its creation. God doesn't get lost in its creation. And that it is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of the divine. So the way we look at that is that when consciousness becomes conscious of something, it knows something. It knows itself. So consciousness, or God, knowing itself, then produces creation. Following?
Yes.
Okay, good. We also believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. Okay? We also believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. And we believe that God is personal to all who feel the indwelling presence. So we believe in the unity of all life, and the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel the indwelling presence. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes. I would hope so. You're here. So not only is God God, not only are we God, but your neighbor is God too. Your neighbor is the divine too, right? And so not only do we have a connection or a communion or a union, because we're never completely separate from, we are never ever separate, not even completely, not even partially separate from the divine. But there's also an interconnectedness between us and between all of life and all of creation. So when we think of earth-based traditions, we think of the plants and the flowers and the animals and the insects and all of life as our sisters and brothers, as our siblings. So we're not only thinking of humanity as our sibling, but we're thinking of all of creation as our sibling, as an interconnectedness. And so that also means the earth and the rocks, and yes, even the cockroaches. Though I still have yet to figure out what their real purpose is. In Las Vegas, they call them water bugs. I don't know why. Probably because if we do have water in Las Vegas, you'll find cockroaches there. But it makes me laugh every time. Like, that's a water bug. No, it's a cockroach. Try to make it sound all pretty. The cockroach. And even from Hawaii, they fly. So, yeah. Not good. Yeah, it's a cockroach. Yeah, it's a cockroach. Actually, a syllable in there. Cockroach. Still don't understand why that is, but or their function, maybe they, I don't know. I don't even go there. But at any rate, even the cockroaches are brothers and sisters. So, in the streams of philosophy, what we recognize is that all is divine. All is the body of God. All is the body. All of us are siblings. There is no separation between us and something else or anyone else. So, am I my brother's keeper? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because who is my brother? Everyone. And what is my brother? The divine made manifest. So it is the divine that I see standing before me. So this concept of everything being holy now, there's a beautiful song by that same title, Everything is Holy Now. The concept of everything being holy, everything being God, everything being sacred, we find in many faith traditions, the earth-based traditions. We also find it in the Hindu tradition. We find it in many, many, many traditions. And what this is called is that it is called the immanence of God. So that God is immanent. So God is everywhere present in all things. So God is immanent. This type of philosophy then is referred to as pantheistic. Pan meaning all and theistic or theism meaning God. So all is God. And then there's the idea of a transcendent God, meaning a creator God who is outside of and beyond creation, that, comes and creates things, makes things, and then just takes a step back and, y'all go ahead. Right? Just doesn't interact then. Except occasionally, here's my son. Right? And then that one individual is God on earth, but the rest of us are not. Right? That is a gross misinterpretation of the teachings of Jesus Christ. It's not what he was saying. He was referring to the I am presence, that lives, moves, breathes, and has its being within each one of us. Right? He wasn't creating the great exception. He was the great example. So when you have these two conflicting ideas, as the missionaries were traveling through the South Pacific and across the Atlantic and everywhere else the missionaries traveled, you have these two conflicting ideas of God is all there is, recognizing the mana, the spirit, the life of the place, the divinity of the world around us, coming with no, there's an outside God that is directing, that is, created, but then is pretty much hands-off, or likes to dabble. In the Old Testament, God liked to dabble. Right? Or at least that's the way it's written. And so there was this conflict between the two. And the idea of the oneness and the wholeness that was actually there in the beginning with Christianity kind of took a sidestep, or a step back, and it became the man rather than the idea. It became the man rather than the consciousness. And so what we teach here is, guess what? We're both, but yet we're not separate, right? So science of mind, the philosophy that we have here, it is both immanent, in that God is all that there is, and it's transcendent in that God is not limited by its creation. That's what we just, it's not limited by, it's not absorbed by its creation. So God is also beyond time and space, that we cannot limit it to just Janet. We cannot limit it to just this planet. Sorry, Brian. We cannot limit it to creation or even the universe. It is so much more, and yet everything that we are, everything that is on the planet is the divine made manifest. So I had a friend ask me when I had shared that with him a few years ago, everything is God. I was like, really? Like, yeah, everything's God. Everything you see, every person you see, everything you see, the pew, the table, the candle, the water bottle, the tree, everything you see is God. It's like, wow. So even dog poop is God? so below. That comes to stop it. As we look as above, so below, it comes from the Hermetic tradition. And the Hermetic tradition, as Hermes Christ metagenesis. And in the Hermetic tradition, what they say about the so as above, so below is this. That which is above, that which is below corresponds to that which is above. And that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. The one thing is God. The miracle is the expression of life. And so here too, you hear our teachings coming back to as above, so below, that there is first the idea in mind. Mind matters. And then there is the form matters, or matter minds. Right? And so what we're looking at here is we're looking at the idea of the macrocosm and the microcosm. So the macro being the large, the microcosm being the small. And so what this then is this is the universalization. The universe is then individualized in each one. The universe is individualized, and then the individual universalizes. So let's say Casey is going to plant something in her garden. Okay? Casey chooses what she's going to plant. Maybe it's a tomato. So she's going to plant a tomato seed or a tomato plant. She's chosen from the infinite possibility of the universe what it is that she's going to plant. So now she's individualized the universal. She's chosen what it is that she's going to plant. So she's individualized the universal. But the moment she individualizes the universal, the moment she makes that decision as to what it is that she's going to plant, and she plants it, then the universal principle takes over and creates the tomato plant. Right? So again, universal is then individualized. Once we make a decision or we make a choice, then the choice, that individualization, then becomes universal again. Tracking? So for all you old-time CSL people, seed soil plant. Okay. It's a creative process. It's a creative principle. That the idea of the divine mind, the high idea, your individual idea that is operating within you, when you plant it into the creative medium that knows how to do everything, plant it into the law, that knows how to bring forth all of creation, then creates the form. Right? But who is the form? You are the form, planting the seed, and you're using the creative law. The creative law, the creative principle, is making it universal. So for those of you old-time science mind people, there you go. Right? Makes sense? Explain it in a couple different ways, and there you go. So if we're the individual, if we are the individualization of God, then each choice that we have, each idea that we have, that we choose to place into the mind of God, place into that creative soil, then responds based on faith. So what is it that you are planting? What is it that you as an individual are choosing to experience in your life? Because what we bring attention to and what we bring intention to, attention plus intention, what we bring those things to, then manifests, then outpictures in our life, then demonstrates in our life. So, what are you planting? Right? What is it that you're planting? Remember, we talked about taking 100% responsibility for our lives, 100% responsibility for the world around us. We have that power, that creative power, that divine power that brings everything forth. Right inside, right there within each one of us. That's who we are, and that's what we are, and we can bring it forth. Right? So, what is it that you're planting? Or what are you allowing to be planted? There are plenty of people, there are plenty of ideas floating around right now that would want to see division. That would want to keep us divided. Because divided, we're not as strong, right? But when we remember who we are and whose we are, when we stand united, then there is great strength and there is great power. Because what are we united with? How are we united? We're united with the universal power and presence that we are. We're united with the truth that we are. We're also united with the truth that we are all sisters and brothers, siblings in the one life. And when we remember that, then there is great power. So what is it that you are choosing to allow in? Or what is it that you are choosing to believe? Are you choosing to believe unity or separation? Are you choosing lack or abundance? Are you choosing fear or are you choosing faith? Are you choosing anger over joy? Are you choosing dualism over oneness and unity? We each have the opportunity to practice in every moment of every day. And it's in this way that we practice, if we're awake and aware of it, it's in this moment that we practice that we are meeting the divine. Arjuna and Krishna met. Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita, he's the protagonist of the Bhagavad Gita from the Hindu tradition. He met God, he met Krishna on the floor of his chariot. As he was going into battle, he was having to battle against his family members. And so he either fought with this side of his family against that side of his family, or he didn't. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what choice to make. And how could he choose division, separation, over wholeness? And it was in that moment that Krishna, as he's laying there on the floor, as Arjuna is laying there on the floor of his chariot, that he awakens to realize that the God, Krishna, is present and has been all along. And Arjuna chooses God. Arjuna chooses God. So we have the opportunity to choose to be in alignment with our divine selves and allow the divine within us to make the choices from there on out. Align ourselves with that and bring ourselves into alignment with that. And then make choices from that place of the divine, from that place where God is and I am. Ernest says, God as man, in man, is man. So we're only the one. Right? And what a wonderful opportunity we have to practice this, because if we remember who we are and we remember our divinity, then we are always in that place of union, right? So it is humanity meeting divinity, we're never separate. But we have the opportunity every day, multiple times a day, anytime we encounter another human being, we have the opportunity to practice this. Because it is when we are in community, it is when we are with another person that we have the opportunity to see God in each other, to recognize the power and the presence of the one life in each other. And oh yes, sometimes that is challenging. It's easy to do when we love somebody tomorrow. It's easy. When you love them or you like them, I see the God in you, I see the God in you, I see the God in you, I see the God in you. But if we have a challenge with them for any reason whatsoever, then it's an opportunity to step up and really practice. It's an opportunity to remember that it is God that meets God. It is the divine that meets the divine. This is what Namaste means. The divine in me honors and recognizes the divine in you. So when you hear that word, or you speak that word, remember the truth and the power behind it. So namaste. Namaste. Hi. How are you? Namaste. The end of your yoga class. Namaste. Whatever. It has meaning. It has power. Remember what that word truly means. That when you speak that word, speak it from a place of love. Speak it from a place of honoring. The divine in me honors and recognizes the divine in you. That is Namaste. That is Namaste. And the God in me recognizes the God in you. The divine in me sees you. Sees the divine in you. That is the practice. Remembering that we are all one. Right? That who we are, that we belong to each other, that we are one universal family. The global heart vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, I'll share some of this with you too, says this: we envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers his or her own personal power and the ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that represents and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world that works for all. We envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. This is what we envision as Centers for Spiritual Living, as a member community of Centers for Spiritual Living. And so, in seeing the unity, what we go to first is when we encounter these beloveds, when we encounter anyone, the first idea is to see the beloved. It is to recognize that the universal has been individualized as the beloved, standing before you or sitting before you. It's to remember the oneness that we are, the unity that we are. That is what we are called to remember first. But hear this. It doesn't mean that we fail to see the individual standing in front of us. Because the individual standing in front of us or sitting in front of us is beauty, is perfection, is wholeness. See, sometimes when we talk about unity and we talk about wholeness and we talk about our oneness, then people think, okay, so then I can't think about diversity. I can't think about difference and how difference is beautiful. I have to think about oneness and wholeness, and that, I'm just going to put on these blinders and just say oneness and wholeness. Yes, we are all one. Yes, we are all whole. Yes, we are all divine. But if I were to say to you, just see the flowers. Forget that there is a purple orchid there, or a red rose there. Forget about the beauty of the individual flower that sits before you. Just forget about that altogether and just think, it's just a flower. I see the flower essence. That's all I'm going to see here. I'm going to ignore the fact that it's an orchid. I choose not to see that it's an orchid. How limited is your life if that's what you're going to do? There is great beauty and power in it. And it is something to be celebrated. We are not all individualized so that we can be homogenized. Right? So, it so frustrates me, and it's something I get to work with and be present with, but it so frustrates me when I hear, I don't see color. What? Liar. When we say that I don't see color, I refuse to see color, I'm only going to see the God in you, but I'm not going to see the package that it's wrapped in. When we say that, we're discounting that person's lived experience, that person's personal history. And not only are we discounting their personal history, we're discounting whatever group they belong to, we're discounting the entire history of that group of people and their lived experience on the planet. So when I hear it in our science of mind circles or our centers for spiritual living, it's like, I don't see color, I believe in oneness, I believe that we are all one. Yes, we are all one. And we do not need to whitewash what we're seeing, what we're experiencing. Instead, we have the opportunity to stand up and learn and listen and respect and learn from the beauty and the diversity and the richness. If there was only roses, would you really appreciate a rose? If that's the only flower that was on the planet, right? If the only color on the planet was brown, right? No green, would you be able to appreciate it? Right? God is glorious and magnificent in all of its manifestations, and so we have the opportunity then to not try to homogenize it, to not try and make it look like ourselves, to not try and discount it, another person's experience or anything, not to try and negate it. We have the opportunity to see it, to learn from it, to appreciate the beauty in it, to appreciate the struggle, to appreciate the strife, to appreciate that which has been lived and brought forth and that is current here and now. Then, and only then, can we be fully present with the beloved in front of us. Yeah. Otherwise, we're discounting. Only then can we be the full presence of the beloved, be in the presence of the beloved in front of us. Only then can we ourselves be the full presence of love. And so, when we're able to do this, then that is love, then that is able to then meet love, because we are on equal footing, we are on equal ground. We are honoring all paths. We are honoring all people. We are celebrating and honoring all culture and diversity. And we include that. We speak to it, recognizing the beauty. And recognizing, first and foremost, that each one of us is the divine made manifest. Each one of us is that love. Each one of us is the divine, regardless of our package. But we honor the package that the divine is. Okay? Yeah, you're there. So Howard Thurman in Jesus and the Disinherited, Howard Thurman in the chapter on love talks about 3 types of enemies, because remember Jesus said love your neighbor as your brother. We are all neighbors, right? Love your neighbor as yourself, but also love your enemies. And so he talks about 3 perceptions of enemy in the chapter on love. The first one is the enemy, the other person, with whom you have a relationship with, based on some sort of intimacy. You have a falling out with a friend, or a falling out with a teammate, or a falling out with a coworker, right? So or falling out with your sibling, what have you. There's that level of intimacy that this person has done something, there's been some kind of wrong, there's been some kind of error, and that is the first type of enemy where there's just this personal, interpersonal conflict. The second type that he talks about is somebody who's part of your group who is acting in ways that are not consistent with your group, who is acting in ways that actually is a detriment to your group.
Teach.
And then there is the third type where it is somebody who is outside of your group. But when we look at what he suggests or how he approaches it, there are different levels of approach that he takes. But what's underlying it at the very core is we have to see the person in front of us as the beloved, as the divine. There are other layers and levels, but where it's of reconciliation, of reparation, of learning and growth. But where he starts is we get to see the beloved, we get to see the divine, we get to see the Christ consciousness in the person before us. And it is when it is the divine meeting the divine, then all the other things can happen. So whether it is a personal relationship or a relationship with powers that be, it starts here. And it starts one-on-one. It starts face-to-face. That's where change happens. That's where growth happens. That's where transformation happens. That's where liberation happens. That happens right here. When we remember that we're the presence of love. And that you are my sisters and brothers. My siblings. And so this morning, what I invite you to do is, one, first take a breath. What I invite you to do is I invite you to find somebody else in the room to stand with for a moment, or to be with for a moment. So go ahead, let's do that first. I'll give you further instructions. Just one other person. You can know them or you cannot know them, it doesn't matter. You're all good. Everybody have somebody to be present with?
Well, I'm standing.
Everybody got somebody to be present with? Okay. Wonderful. Even numbers. Even better. Cool. There you go. All right. These two. So, what I would like for you to do is turn silently. Always gotta tell people this. Silently. Just turn and look into each other's eyes. You can blink, it's not a staring contest. But just look into each other's eyes silently. acknowledge this beloved in a way that feels appropriate to both of you. And then find one other person. All right. And so, with this person, I invite you to look into their eyes, be silent and present with each other. Behold the beloved. And acknowledge this divine being in a way that is comfortable for both of you.
Okay.
How are you feeling? Feeling the love?
Yes.
See some tears?
Yes.
This is the power of love. This is who you are. This is who you are asked to be. This is who you have signed up to be when you came into this earthly plane. So this great gift that you just gave yourself and gave another human being or two, divine beings, is what I invite you to practice. Practice it outside these four walls. Practice it when you're watching the news. Practice it when you're hearing people say things that might be divisive. Practice. Remember this feeling. This is who you are. This is who they are. When you stand face to face, looking in each other's eyes, that power of love overcomes any other idea of anything else. For truly, this is the only power, the one power, love. And so I invite our beloved practitioners and court council members to stand and surround the sanctuary at this time. These beloveds hold this community in prayer daily. They hold this community in love, and they lift this community in love on a daily basis. So I invite you at this moment, if you're comfortable doing so, to go ahead and close your eyes, and let's come together in consciousness. And so I stand in the power and the presence of love, for truly love lives here. Love is all that there is. It is the one power, the one presence, the one life that animates all. That is the first cause. That is the only cause. Love, God, the divine, that which is. And that which is brought forth all of creation as a manifestation of itself, as an individualized expression of love. And so I recognize that that is who I am. That is who each one is. That is what all of creation is. Love taking form. Love breeding love, love meaning love, love expressing and experiencing love itself. And so I speak this word this day, recognizing the power and the presence of love in the hearts and minds of each one present here today, each one who is part of Riverside Community Center for Spiritual Living, each one who is in the Inland Empire, in the state, and on the planet. That truly love is the truth of each being. I recognize the oneness and the wholeness and the unity that is. And I celebrate the beauty and the diversity that also is. For truly there is unity in diversity and diversity in unity. They are not exclusive. They are not exclusionary. They are all inclusive. It's the same as one. Each life is an individualized expression, a beautiful individualized expression of the one life. And how glorious and magnificent it is to see and honor and celebrate and bask in the glory and the beauty. And so I speak a word of blessing upon our country, upon our planet, recognizing the unity that is behind it all. And I call forth an awakening to this oneness, an awakening to the love that dwells within. For it is in this love that we live, move, breathe, and have our being. Love heals all. Love conquers all, because love is all. And so I simply let fall away any idea of separation, any idea of otherness. I give thanks for the unity, I give thanks for the love, I give thanks for the sacred yes that each one in this room has already said and already spoken. I give thanks for the experience of love that has already occurred in this community and continues to unfold as Riverside Community Center for Spiritual Living. And I release this word into the law, into the creative being that knows what to do, knows how to create. And in so doing, the individualized is once again universalized. I say yes, and let it be so. And so it is. So it is. Amen.